Welcome to the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast, the show where we shine a light on incredible businesses, community leaders, and local legends that are shaping our town. I'm your host, James O'Donnell, and today we are joined by Richard Morris, one of the founders of the Giving Machine. Richard, great to have you on the show.
Hi, James. Thanks very much for having me here. Although I have to say, you've sort of built up your guests, so thanks for letting me sneak in. No
problems. It's great to speak to someone that's doing something in Bishop Stortford and making the world a better place. That's the goal for everyone, I hope. For those of us who don't know specifically who you are, Richard, and what you do, who are you and what do you do here in Bishop Stortford?
Well, I've been actually in Bishop Stortford for 25 years now, and I moved here. My wife and I moved here then after living in the States. So I actually had a stint in Silicon Valley, and I was very fortunate in that I co-founded a business out there. It was very successful. I guess the joke is I did well financially, but perhaps not so well follically. But it was a good trade. Came back to the UK, got involved in some other startups in sort of tech area. But it was when I was taking the kids to school and in the sort of started to look more locally and take more interest in the local community, thinking, okay, what could I do to make a difference? And I teamed up with several other local people to build the charity, the Giving Machine, which has taken it's been around quite a few years, but we've given over 2.5 million away to good causes all over the UK, and we've grown into a national thing. But it started really locally with some of the local schools. That's kind of what we're about. But it really was, how can we use our skills to actually put more money back into community? And of course, our ambitions and our capabilities have changed over the years. I think it'd be fair to say that we've also made lots of mistakes. So you could say, despite making lots of mistakes, we're still here, still giving out money every month to good causes.
Fantastic. Are there any nice stories of local schools that you've supported? And
yeah, well, I suppose we've worked with many of the schools locally. St. Joseph's was one of the first ones. And I suppose we supported, in fact, we helped Hearts Hogline, the sort of hedgehog saviors, as it were, when they were sort of in dire need of, as it happens, I think it was extra nappies or towels to make sure that, because hedgehogs do need to go to the toilet a lot when you're looking after them, so they need some aspects for there. So yeah, there's numerous sort of tales of just things that we've worked with, but we tend to focus on a bit of the low level unrestricted funding for good causes, to be honest. So it's not necessarily the big ticket, but it's the regular unrestricted funding to just help people pay the bills and support them. So yeah, Apton Day Centre, maybe there's just a number of different causes, I suppose, around. I suppose because we look nationally, we're always here to meet local causes when they want to, but we're supporting people on a national level as well.
Well, that's a great story in itself, the fact that you've started locally, supporting local schools around here, and now you've grown it into a national support structure. I suppose it's a shame it has to exist, but it does, and you're helping.
It is, and in fact, that's one of the things that I was thinking about the why. If you look at where most people, if you look at the money, where the donation money flows, most of it goes and flows to a very small number of large charities. And yet, when you look in, and that's not a bad thing, it just is a thing. But when you look in the community, whether it's feeding people, whether it's caring for them, whether it's supporting them through various illnesses or bereavements or even sadly abuse, those are often smaller community causes around the country, and they find it hard and they're living hand to mouth. So that's one of the reasons we exist, is what can we do to help them a bit in this time? And they're too busy delivering often to be very good at fundraising. In fact, most of them are rubbish at fundraising, to be honest. So it's kind of, what can we do to help them with that?
It's interesting because the smaller the business, there's different elements of it. You need to bring cash in, business or charity, you need to bring cash in order to do the work that you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But really you want charities just to do the work that you do.
Well, you say that, but that's an interesting one, is that some people would measure the effectiveness of a charity as that all the money comes in and goes out. I must admit, I also work with entrepreneurs and their businesses to help them grow. And that's another part of what I do in a different area. And if you don't look after it as a business, as an organization, you're not going to survive. you're not going to be there tomorrow. And we live in what is an incredible changing environment now. Even just looking at how we communicate with our supporters, what technology we use, the implications of AI, increasing regulation, all those things require energy. And to assume that you can actually get all of that energy as a volunteer is crazy. So one of the things that I feel for me is that I help businesses become more aligned on their core values and really look after their people to grow and develop their businesses to achieve greater success. But if you look at charities, they need to become more business-like if they're going to be around for a long period of time. So they do need to look after their longevity, their sustainability. And so actually, perhaps if you said the measure of success is how much impact you've had over X number of years, you're going to have to invest in your people. You're going to have to train them. You're going to have to look after them and get the best that you can afford. And so sometimes I will challenge people to say, you do need to make sure it's okay to retain some income to make sure your organization's going to be around for the next 5, 10 years. So there is a challenge in the mindset there.
I want to give a shout out to a brilliant local business making life better right here in Bishop Stortford. If you've ever felt bored or awkward or unmotivated at the gym, well, you're not alone. Getting fit should feel fun. That's what I love about Vida Wellness Club. Besides yoga, Pilates, they also run friendly, energizing dance sessions like Zumba, Zumba Gold, Broadway Boogie that actually make you want to move. You can book a free session now at vidawellnessclub.com and let them know that the podcast sent you. No pressure, just great vibes and a stronger you. Support your fitness and support local. Right, back to the show. And you spoke about AI, and the big thing I think with AI from companies and businesses that I speak to is the speed at which things can happen now is so much quicker than even 12 months ago. And I'm an ex-recruiter. Whenever I've recruited for a charity, that process has been quite slow. And I imagine that a lot of processes within charities, because you need some checks and balances about how that money is spent, have historically been quite slow. So is that something that you're looking at going forwards about how quickly actually businesses or charities need to evolve in order to make the most of that new technology and to not be left by the wayside?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So on my business side, so I'm a certified EOS implementer. So I say I have at the moment 8 clients ranging from 2 to 30 million turnover, and I work with the leadership team. So there, I'm often talking about AI and what are they doing, how to start leveraging it, or at least coming up with a plan for how to leverage it. In the charity side of things, we don't really advise, but we do leverage AI a fair bit on our own charity. But I think with my sort of technology background and some of the associates that I talk to, it's really learning how does AI add to your sort of toolkit, not necessarily to replace, but to augment. Because I think the human oversight and judgment is still really important. But the fact that you've got an assistant, if you like, which I probably would say, how would I put it, is it's an overconfident. I'm trying to think, what would you call someone who does what you ask, but doesn't always necessarily go outside the boundaries of that?
Yeah.
So
automaton.
They'll do. Sorry?
An automaton.
Sort of, but there are not quite thinking automaton, but they'll take things literally, right? So in some ways, you've got a highly overconfident, literal taking, but highly expert assistant. So you can't necessarily just give everything away, but you can use it to do things that we're not very good at, which is analyzing lots of stats in parallel, actually doing some analysis work and supporting aspects that you do, but you still have to have the wisdom and intelligence to have oversight of the results and question, say, hold on a minute, just because you've given me this answer, it looks really great, I've got to go through it and check it's right. So I think it's really quite a powerful tool set, but you still need to know how. And I think in the charity world, there's also which ones possibly have more of an ethical framework within their AI versus, because the thing about AI is it's generally not necessarily going to have ethics built in. In fact, in some ways that's great because it's just going to say what it thinks is the best course of action. But we have to put the ethical framework and the core value framework in of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate.
The other element of that as well is the use of data. Like a lot of people not realizing how public any information you
Well,
put into
I think,
AI.
and that's one of the other things that I would do recommend is that if you use a known AI and you do the paid subscription and check the privacy, because if you use the paid subscriptions, often the information you load is not using to teach the large language models for others. So that's one of the just first things is if you're using ChatGPT, pay the £20 a month and lock that privacy in.
Very good, very good. This has gone down a rabbit hole which I could talk to you about for hours, but I'm very aware that we're trying to focus on the Bishop Stortford community aspect.
No, sure.
Of things. Anybody listening to this that you know, a local good cause or charity or school that doesn't know about you and is finding out about you now, Richard, who are the people that you can help the most? Who would get the most out of it and should get in contact with you?
So I think, I have this quote on my business card and my website, and I do say true to it. It sounds a bit twee, but I am very fortunate. I get to do what I love with people I love to make a huge difference. So, or hopefully to make a huge difference, I should say. And I think part of that is how do I help? So first of all, if you are a leader in an organization, 15 to 250 people, I teach a proven mechanism. And it's not my mechanism. It's just proven in many thousands of organizations worldwide of how to just run a great organization. What does it take? And I like to share that with any leadership team, charities, and so on, just because I'd like to, it's a free share. You know, this is how it works. It's proven it works. And I've seen it work in a number of businesses. Some of those businesses will want to take me on as a coach, but they don't have to take me. There's other people like me. In Europe, there's about 40. And they're all people that have been there, done it, got the T-shirt, but more importantly, they've got the scars, because anyone can say you've had a hit record. Have you struggled? So first of all, I love to help leaders just get great at leadership and their teams. So I love to share that. With the Giving Machine itself, if you are a charity, a school, a non-profit organization, or even a social enterprise, have some fundraising tools that could help you. Number one, we have a grant scheme that opens up every quarter, and we have some grants that come out. There's only £250, but it means it's only 10 minutes to apply. There aren't major criteria, and it's unrestricted. You can use it for whatever you want, as long as you can just say, how's it making a difference? And I want to really build that up in terms of the number we can give out every quarter. But we also have a national lottery platform called the Giving Lottery. And that's something that they can use and promote to generate recurring income for themselves. They don't need a license. It's free to use. And we have over 660 causes on that now nationally. And we're growing at a fairly fast pace. What I would also say is if you like the idea of a lottery, so as a player, £1 a week, why don't you find something local on the Giving Lottery website and support them? You know, it's really is that simple. So type in the postcode, find something local, and just play for at least £1 or £2 a week, and you're making a difference. So, and I think we should feel good about making a difference. We know that the world has and our communities have a lot of issues in, but isn't it amazing that there's so many great people doing what they do and actually, you know, have some fun, help out, and feel good about it?
That's lovely. And I think Bishop Stortford seems like a great kind of ecosystem for that. There are so many people trying to do better for the community.
Absolutely. And I think that's really inspiring, because often in the news you hear about all the bad stuff and you see the comments about this and that. But fortunately, behind it all, there are also so many lovely, amazing people who fundamentally want us all to, and I'll use the YMCA quote, which I love, is to belong to a community, to be able to help people contribute into that so that we can kind of thrive together. And ultimately, as human beings, we are pack animals. We thrive much better in good groups together. That's how we function. And these groups often spot people who are not feeling like they belong and bringing them into the fold, whatever that means. So I think it's great to know. And thank you. I think you're doing a great job, James, helping do some of that.
Thank you. Thanks, Richard. We're very early on with the podcast, so I think a lot of those things that you've mentioned are the whole point of what I'm trying to do. So thanks for writing my why statement.
There we go.
For me there. Richard, are you ready for some Stortford Spotlight questions?
Well, I'm as ready as I'll ever be, so go on, hit me.
Today's podcast is brought to you by a great local business helping people take back their time in Bishop Stortford. If your weekends are getting swallowed by cleaning instead of time with your family, I get it. As a dad of 2 young boys, I know how fast those moments can go, and I've been let down by cleaners before. That's why I use Time For You Cleaning. They're reliable, friendly, and give you one less thing to worry about. If you want your time back, head to timeforyou.cleaning and let them know the podcast sent you. Get back your precious time and support local. Right, back to the show. Awesome. These are 3 fast questions that we ask every guest that comes on the show. Let's get into it. If you could put one sentence on a billboard in Jackson Square, what would it say, and who do you think needs to hear it the most?
I think it probably would be the same phrase that I just said, actually. Do what you love with people you love to make a huge difference. I think just reminding people of, have a why, and, just remember how fortunate we are if we are in those situations. If you're not, find someone to help you get out of that situation, change it. Life's too short.
Getting chills. Thanks, Richard. Second question. Where do you go in Bishop Stortford that you secretly hope never gets too popular?
One of my favorite coffee spots, I just like going to Rindio Coffee, and just because I like to support some of the independents. So I would just say that's my favorite spot, but where possible, support the independents.
Support the independents, yes. That's a good carrying call for everybody, I think, in Bishop Stortford, definitely. And finally, who's doing something special in town that more people need to know about?
So actually, I was thinking about this. There's so many. It's really hard. But I'm going to choose Karen Tait at the Residence. So the Residence is a co-working space, and our charity, we run pretty lean and mean. So we're virtual, but every Thursday we work there and come together as a team. So we get some proper FaceTime and team bonding and all that fun stuff. And the team can make fun of me. So that seems to be part of the mission as well. So I would just nominate her because she's incredible leader, really lovely person, really pulls people together. So yes, it's a business, but actually there's so much more behind it. And I think it's when you actually look at people doing good, it's not always just charities and social enterprises. It's actually businesses who get involved in the local community. And I think I'd call her out, and the Residence itself. It's a hub, and people love working there because the culture and just the vibe, if you like, if I'm okay at my age to use that word, is just great.
Karen was one of the first people to reach out to me to offer support for the podcast. She didn't need to. She reached out to,
so there you go.
Out of hours, come and help.
And I didn't know that. So that
wasn't a plan at all. And Karen will be on the podcast at some point.
Right.
Once our sponsors come together and I can do some in-person podcasting, we're going to head to the Residence and do some podcasting there.
What I was going to say, obviously, if we're in the same physical location, we're going to have to sort out so our clothes don't clash.
Yeah, this is a completely faux pas. I'll take the hit for it. I might put a different filter on when I publish it.
That's right.
That's a good idea. AI change the color of my shirt. Let's see if that works.
And I should have worn a wig really, but okay.
Awesome, Richard. Thank you ever so much for joining us today on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast. Again, for those businesses or charities, local non-profits that might want to get in contact, what's the best way for them to find you online and get involved with the work that you're doing individually and also at the Giving Machine?
Well, I've got a website that kind of just has all the contact details, so it's probably easy. It's just rjmorris.com. And my email address is richard@rjmorris.com.
Wonderful. I will link to those in the show notes wherever you're watching or listening to this, and people hopefully we'll get in contact with you to make the most of your expertise. Richard, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. That's a wrap. Again, thank you for joining us today on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast.
Thanks, James. And great. Good luck in all of the next podcasts. It's a great thing that you're doing.
Thank you ever so much. I really appreciate that. To those of us who are watching or still listening, if you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support the show from your perspective is to hit follow and leave a quick review on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and share it on your socials. Maybe share it with someone in town who you think should hear it. Maybe someone that's not on social media but might be interested in hearing about local events and characters and community leaders that we're talking to on the show. Also, if you know a local legend that you think we should feature next on the podcast, drop me a message or tag them below so I can get in contact with them. I love sharing local good stories. And that's it from me. As Richard said earlier, go and support local today. Get out there to your local coffee shop or local store and support those local entrepreneurs and charities that are trying to make the world a better place. Have a great day. If you run a business built on trust, but your website's full of stock photos and silence, we need to talk. True Tone Testimonials helps coaches, consultants, and other service providers turn real client stories into high-converting video content. No scripts, no fluff, just honest words from real people who already love what you do. They're professionally filmed and ready to drop onto your site or into your socials. Head to truetonetestimonials.card.co. Let your clients do the selling. Okay, support local. Let's get back to the show.